X's and O's with LeRoy Butler. Now, here's Tom Silverstein.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to X's and O's with LeRoy Butler. We're here heading into Bears Week, but before we do that, we got to look back. I mean, that's part of what X's and O's is all about. And so we got a couple plays from Colts game, and one of the things that struck both of us, really a head scratcher, was how the start of the third quarter began. And that was, so the Packers are up 28-14, and Mike Pettine, the defensive coordinator, comes out in a dime defense with Raven Green as an inside linebacker in place of Kamal Martin, plus Chandon Sullivan as the fifth DB. And what's interesting about that is that that's not how the Colts came out. They came out in double tight ends. Wasn't that so? First time you saw that, were you like scratching your head, like what is this?
No, I thought it was a typo at first because if you're the coach, you're thinking they're going to have base out there. I bet you all week when they practiced this play, they were hoping, or they knew it was going to be in a base where this guy is a linebacker, this guy's a linebacker, and then you would have a true nose and two tackles like this, and then it's a different blocking scheme. But I bet you they were shocked when they looked in the press box and said, wait a minute, they have dime out there. But just stay with it for a minute. You would think every gap is covered. Every gap is covered. Every gap is covered. We got an 8-man front. You got here, and he has to be there. He should be a little wider, actually. But just for the sake of argument, there's nowhere to run this ball.
Right.
It's impossible. That's what an 8-man front does for you. But the problem is when they all step here, and we'll see that on the next one, they step here, here, and here, and here. Well, they create a bunch, because now Dean Lowry goes here, Kenny Clark goes here, Kirksey goes here, Raven Green's gonna get caught up in the trash. You'll see in a moment, and then now Savage is out on the island because he's thinking he got to stay for the, pretty much the C gap, but this guy's gonna cut him off, and this guy's gonna cut off Za'Darius. And I know the coaches are we probably like a different personnel, but we still got 8 men up there. There's no way they should be able to run the football.
Yeah, and, if you think about it, we'll show this, but if they would have put a defensive lineman here,
yep,
and then taken out here or here, all of a sudden this play changes, and they're probably going to they're going to want to throw it to one of these two tight ends. And you're going to have to count on, there's 2 wide receivers out here, but you count on Kevin King and Jair Alexander having that coverage, and Adrian Amos is probably deep middle.
Yep.
So, I don't really understand that. So we'll go to the second one. And now here's what you were talking about. Everybody's on the move, and you got to have contain here, right? This is key, and it looks like he does have contain, doesn't it?
He's good.
Pretty well.
Good. He's good.
Now, show us what's happening here.
Well, Dean Lowry is already opened this up to step. See, remember I told you all the Colts are going to step this way.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a double team there. And now Raven Green still has his gap, but it's going to be some trash there. Now, Kirksey has his front side A gap, really either A gap. But you really want Dean Lowry to be kind of on this side of this guy, because you're going to create a lane by going in that gap. There's the lane right there. And I bet you they told Jonathan Taylor, you come here and I want you to loop it back around here. That's where the hole is. Some were going to be in a base, but they were in a dime, so it almost opens up by itself.
You would think that these two guys have a chance, but this being a safety who's not protected, so if there's a defensive lineman here, he's protected.
Right.
But now he's got to take on this 250-pound tight end.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's not a good matchup.
No.
We'll look at the next one.
See, there's the trash I was talking about. See all this trash here? Now no gaps are secure, and you created a lane that you just kind of created a problem. And then you would like to teach Savage to stay square on this guy, but this guy's, like you say, he's getting his hands on, he's over. And then you want Zadarius just to contain it so he don't bounce all the way out there. But look at that lane, and that may have been just by default not having the right personnel out there. Because they got bigger guys, you got smaller guys.
It's just huge. And this is what's called running against an 8-man box. And boy, no problem. Here he is. Kirksey is too late. Chandon Sullivan is right here. He's too late. Savage is walled off.
Yep, he's done.
Green is late. And as you mentioned, Lowry is way out of gap here.
Yeah, see, it's a bad thing. Your name should never be looking at the quarterback or this way. It should be turned the other way to where the defensive backs, can see your name. But when you spin out like that, you just create another gap. And you just look at everybody on this side, you almost kind of blocked it yourself. And you'll see in the next photo, when we look it up high, that this puts a lot of stress on the safeties as they're coming in, because they missed tackle somewhere. You're talking about a touchdown.
Yeah.
There he is right there.
Yep. So he came this way and then broke through this hole like that.
Yeah, it's like a zone blocking. You come here and you loop around here. And the hard thing about that is you got to make sure everybody stays in their gap. And sometimes when you try to make a play somewhere else, you create another hole, and this is what happened. This was a gain of like 18, 20 yards.
Yeah, this is, again, their run defense is such a problem. You know, they come up in the playoffs against Dalvin Cook if they had to, or, Alvin Kamara again, or anybody with a real good run game. And
they're going to play the Titans in a few weeks.
Yeah, Derrick Henry.
That guy's going to be in the secondary a lot.
Yeah.
But I would play more bait. Whenever got two tight ends, I'm sure they know the personnel that's in. Even if you have to call a timeout, get the right personnel and put your base out there. You only have the dime out there when you have guys to cover wide receivers. But they only got two receivers out there. You shouldn't have defensive backs in the box like that.
And what I love about this is Frank Reich, the Colts coach, said, it's 28-14. It's not the end of the world. It's not like we can't come back. We don't have to panic. And to me, it's like the Packers are panicking, saying they're going to come out throwing
the ball. Yeah,
let them run it as long as they're eating up the clock. Well, no, they wound up. This drive was so important to turning the game around because they held it for 7 minutes and just ran it right down the Packers' throat. Even though I think it wound up with a field goal, it didn't matter. It established the momentum. So,
like you said, it ate up the clock.
Yeah.
And then the Packers had 2 3-and-outs in the third quarter, and they only had six plays or something like that.
Yeah. So we got to figure out how to stop the run.
Yeah.
All right. So on the flip side, the Packers were going up against this cover 2 defense, and we've talked about it many times, but Colts are a great example of how to play it. And the Packers got them a number of times on it, but they just didn't get them enough. And let's show how they actually were able to get them and what maybe they could have done more. So on this play, we've got Valdes-Scantling in motion, and he's going to just kind of hook up here.
Yes.
And they're in nickel, and they're going to bring their corner here.
Yep.
And then we'll come here, and it's going to wind up being a play action. And they got 3 receivers here, in here. Okay, so tell me what the Colts, how are they positioned here?
Well, first of all, they got good leverage with their corners. Got good leverage, and
You want to put these guys inside.
The guy on Scantling is basically man to man. Scantling is so valuable in this offense because anytime a team plays cover two, Tom, in the future, which Chicago does a lot, he's going to be one-on-one down here with a defensive back or a middle linebacker, and that was and we'll talk about that play later. That's how valuable he is in this particular offense. But the strain of this defense, really, Tom, is on the middle linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has to honor this. He don't know if it's play action or they'll give it to Aaron Jones. So he has to come up into this line. But after that, then he has to redirect. So the stress is on the middle linebacker because that's just the weakness of the defense is the middle of the field.
Right. It's like the old Tampa defense when Derek Brooks would be up here and then he'd shoot back into the middle and you'd have to try to get the ball over his head somehow.
Yep.
But Leonard isn't able to do that on this. So
that's a good fake by Aaron Rodgers, a great fake.
Great play action. So Darius Leonard gets caught up here, as you show.
Yep.
And then this is Adams, and he's running what we call a dig. And then this is MVS running down the middle with a corner all by himself. And then we got two safeties, right? So what are the safeties, tell me what they're doing here.
Well, they got to make sure if this guy runs deep, he got to be back here deep on this one.
Okay.
Now, this guy got great depth because all he wants to do is just make sure they don't throw what we call a post or a bomb. But, really, if it was a chance, you really can throw it deep. He can throw it deep, which I think that's why they come back to it. He can really throw it right there to MVS, and it's a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But he's probably thinking, by this guy, once this wide receiver runs an out route, I would just come back in, fold back in.
Yeah.
To help the guy that's covering, give him some help. But I'm surprised the Packers wouldn't have this guy run down to occupy this safety. But he ran like some kind of out or something, and now the middle is wide open. And Aaron Rodgers has been doing some great ball handling, play fakes. That all goes into the offense. If he does that, it's hard on a middle linebacker.
Yeah. It looks like this safety's shoulders are pointed towards the sideline.
Yep, that's exactly right.
He's looking, so that's what his cue is, whether to go here or here. But this comes so wide open that you could pass it up.
Right, no question.
But that is what he's looking at, right? How these safety shoulders are.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so now,
and he has good protection because you got to have good protection on these. Tom, you have to because it takes so much time.
Yeah.
At that point, you have a time to throw it down the middle. That's where there's stress of this defense. I hate playing cover two because of this reason.
Yeah, it's hard. One thing I tried to tell people in the blog on Sunday night was a thing that Favre used to do against cover two was have this guy run right here, and then he would throw that laser right between safety and corner. That's a tough throw, but
it is.
He'd do that to Freeman every once in a while.
You remember Aaron Rodgers' interception? That's what happened.
Yes.
He was trying to throw it in that dead area, and the guy carried a little longer and picked it off.
Yep. They suckered him right into it.
Yep.
You got to really have a laser. But also, I think that wide receiver was a little more into the seam.
He was into the seam. He kind of faded back out.
Yeah, he couldn't
drop it.
Yeah, he had to throw it here. Anyway, so then we wanted to go back and look at that play when they were on the 6-yard line and in the fourth quarter, and they need to score, and it's 3rd and 10. And so what do? They send MVS up the middle again. Only this time it's a little different how they play this, right?
Yeah, because remember, there's no play action.
Right.
There's no play action. So now the middle linebacker is here, and trust me, the defensive backs know the stress of this defense because they play it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing you tell him pretty much is these safety, you got to be deep because that ball is going to be thrown right about here.
Yeah.
So this safety is a little too shallow, and they know he's a speed guy. And if you're the middle linebacker, it's a dead sprint to the middle of the field because that's where the ball's going.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about it. That's where the ball's going. Now, sometimes if you were in they're in an empty set. Looks like they're in an empty set.
Mm-hmm.
They'll leave this guy here wide open because this guy will come off, and this guy in the middle will come off, but they'll rally up to tackle this guy, and they'll even give you the first down.
Right, because they're playing against the clock here.
Exactly. So the stress is in the middle of the field, and Aaron makes a fantastic throw.
Yeah, that's for sure. So here's MVS, and he's got that, as you said, that linebacker trailing, and the safeties are here. Now, Rodgers kind of floated it, so one of these safeties had a chance. I think it was this guy had a chance to pick it off, but it just dropped right into MVS's hands.
Oh, yeah, it was a great thing. Now go back to number 4, picture number 4 again. I'm going to show you how valuable 83 is. Mm-hmm. Look at this. This guy has a 5-yard head start, and that's MVS. He is getting it, okay? Now go to picture 5. He ran past him, and he's passed him by 3 yards.
Yeah.
And then, again, you remember that play that Devontae came in the middle?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was vacated. Now they got a guy sitting there because they don't care about the run.
Right, because they don't have a play action to worry about.
Yep. So if you're Aaron and you see a guy, here, oh, that's what I want. I mean, that makes it easy.
That's what goes back to our discussion in 5 questions about running Aaron Jones, how much that changes the game.
Exactly. It does.
Yeah. And then this is the end of the Adams play.
Yep. Look at that.
Wide open. But I thought this was a great visual of, okay, there he is pulling the safeties in the corner out of there. He's open. There's Adams underneath, open.
Yep.
There's opportunities to hurt that defense. They just didn't do it enough. I think they lost the threat of play action as the game wore on.
Yep. Scantling probably the top 5 fastest guys in the league.
Yeah.
Throw him the ball deep once a quarter, or maybe even twice, because those are low percentage plays. But if he's one-on-one, throw it. It opens it up for everything. Run the ball, Aaron Jones. That opens up the middle. Yeah. So, those guys together, they gotta try to just outscore people until the defense can get to where they can stop people consistently.
Yeah, and don't throw them screens. Get them down the field, I think, is what their mantra should be.
Well, they're trying to get the ball to him in space, so I kind of understand it. Right. You talked about this. I just don't understand how one guy can split 2 guys and cause a fumble. That is beyond me.
Yeah, that's sloppy blocking for sure.
Yeah. But they'll get that fixed against Chicago.
Yeah. So we may see some cover 2 from the Bears. And
you're going to see a lot of cover 2 because they want to just rush 4.
Right.
Khalil Mack and Hicks and those guys. And they got great linebackers, though. They'll redirect and get deep so the middle won't be open. But if you're running that ball with Aaron Jones, it'll be hard for them to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Their secondary has a lot of weaknesses if you can protect Aaron Rodgers, as I'm sure they know.
Yep, for sure.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Well, I hope that was informative, not informal.
Yeah. They know what you mean.
Like that.
And I want to thank the Jewelry Center, GameDayBrats.com, Pick and Save, Ivanhoe's Pub and Eatery, and, of course, the Bullying Book.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, well, that'll do it, and we'll be back. Don't forget to catch us live before the Bears game.
Yeah, before the Bears game.
15 on LeRoy's Facebook page or JS Online or Packers News. And let's wish everybody just a really happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Yes.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.